Dome in Minneapolis, where Syracuse and Illinois are getting set for the Midwest Regional Final as the road to the Final Four continues right here on CBS.
CBS side of the Midwest Regional Final, which tips in about 20 minutes. That's Illinois and Syracuse. The gentlemen who will call the game for us today, Vern Lundquist and Tommy Heinsohn. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Jimmy, and we've got the crowd that is expected to reach about 34,000 filtering in now. Syracuse and Illinois getting set to tip off in about 20 minutes. Only the second time the two have met, and the key question concerns the health of two of the Illinois starters, Ken Battle and Lowell Hamilton. They've had injuries. I talked this morning with Rod Cardinal, the Illinois trainer.
Battle's improved a great deal. He's still a little stiff, but I anticipate him playing and doing a good job. Lowell Hamilton is a little more of a project. He's still pretty sore. We've been able to control the swelling pretty well, but we won't know up until game time his status. We'll let him try to go through warm-ups and see how he can do through that.
Tommy Heinsohn, how will the potential limitation of these two impact on Illinois?
Well, both of them are experienced players. They're not tall, but boy, they know how to bang. And it's very important that they be close to 100%, if not 100%, in order to beat Syracuse. I looked at Battle out here. He looks like he's ready to go. Hamilton, not so good.
Well, Battle will start. Hamilton will not. So we'll get further details in a little bit. Right now, let's go back to New York and James Brown.
All right, Vern, thank you very much. And still ahead as we continue from Studio 43, Leslie Visser will have the story of the making of a general, Syracuse's peerless floor leader, Sherman Douglas. And then we'll turn from the general to some specifics as we screen yet another edition of that venerable genre, the NCAA newsreel. Stay with us as the road to the Final Four continues right here on CBS.
Team within one shot of winning the national title, and this year Coach Jim Boeheim hopes to make it all the way, and he'll rely as usual on senior point guard Sherman Douglas. Leslie Visser tells us that as Douglas goes, so go the Orangemen. Generally speaking, that is.
In the annals of outstanding field leaders, we number Dwight D. Eisenhower, Douglas MacArthur, George S. Patton, and now
number 20, Captain General Sherman Douglas.
Well, General was a leader, a guy who will go out there and do anything for his troops, and that's what I do.
This general began as a foot soldier in Washington, D.C., taking target practice on the doorpost basket his mother lovingly saved.
He enjoyed playing. You can see that within your child that there's something special about him. And I saw that, and I knew that he really liked playing ball.
The general mustered his troops on the playground before taking command at Spingarn High, where he followed in the illustrious footsteps of Dave Bing and Elgin Baylor, both of whom went on to become All-Americas and subsequently All-Pros in the NBA. These were no mere mortals, but Douglas proved that he belonged in their company, at least in the high school ranks.
He just had a gift for the game. A lot of things on the court were very creative. He rallied around his teammates. He was just a very aggressive player on the court, and he had a lot of determination.
The determination paid off as Douglas led Spingarn to a 31-0 record and the city championship. In his senior year, he was named a high school All-America, but it hurt when his hometown college denied him a scholarship.
I was shocked. I thought that I had the talent to go to Georgetown and play, but I wasn't recruited, so, you know, life goes on. I didn't want to dwell on that. I knew that if I can go to Syracuse and play well, that, you know, I would get the attention and notoriety that I thought I should get.
He was right. The fame and recognition ultimately came.
Ball tapped out. Douglas goes for it. Gets it. Hikes the ball to Thompson. Brazil.
This year, Douglas gained even more recognition as he etched his name into the record books, setting a new NCAA career mark for assists, and by surpassing Dave Bing as the Orangemen's all-time leading scorer.
It goes to show that if you've got it within you, which Sherman does, and you have a big heart, you have a chance to get to the top of the mountain.
My dream was to go out in Seattle and play well and win a championship.
It must take a special mentality to be both the scoring leader and the career assist leader. They would seem to be at cross purposes. You know, it's kind of like a tennis player being both a great baseliner and a great volleyer.
Leslie, you've seen both of these teams, Illinois and Syracuse, play a lot. What do you think about today's matchup?
I think it'll be one of the most physically impressive matchups we've seen maybe since Louisville and Houston. I think the key will be the half-court defense.
Great comparison. Louisville and Houston, that Final Four Classic from 1983. Being a Houston graduate, I must confess I enjoyed that game in Albuquerque. Thank you, Leslie. We'll come back and take a look at the NCAA newsreel as we continue.
So when you stop to think about it, we're in the midst of an information explosion, what with national newspapers and cable television and so forth. But for those of us who are pretty serious about our college basketball, we can give thanks to that boundless source of fresh stories, the NCAA newsreel. Here now are some of the latest dispatches from out in the field.
Welcome again, college hoop fans, to another edition of the NCAA Newsreel. We begin today with a story of a simple game that is merely a metaphor for another simple game. Illinois coach Lou Henson may not look athletic, but as you'll soon see, he can outjump the best of them. His team is one move away from becoming the Midwest Kings, heading, of course, to the Kingdome.
I started at a young age. I was taught how to play. I was taught the fundamentals of checkers. It's just like basketball. Starting 26, 27 years ago, when we would have our basketball camp, checkers would be one of the games that we would play. And I told each camper that if you could beat me in checkers, we would waive the tuition. During the week, they would all challenge me, and so far, I haven't lost a game.
And all these years, you thought that coaching was a game of chess.
That's the way you play the game of checkers.
The name checkers calls to mind a dog and the man who loved him, Richard Milhouse Nixon. He studied law at Duke 50 years ago. Friday night, he watched his alma mater sock it to Minnesota at the Meadowlands. But last month, the former president had to resign himself to watching a bitter defeat in his inaugural game. His experience, though, has taught him a thing or two about comebacks.
He came in after the Arizona game and spoke to us, and I was very surprised. The one thing he said is, he goes, "Don't worry about it. I lost quite a few in my day, too."
And turning from the man who tried to cover up what he knew to a book that tells all. Reporters searching for scoops turned media guides into dog-eared sources. We've unearthed this year's motherlode of information. The Northeast Louisiana Guide, the women's guide, that is, guaranteed to dress up the naked truth in a host of cunning guises for those who pursue trivia and are not coy about cryptic statistics.
There is a line beyond which we cannot cross that we will detract from the program. We're very careful in making sure we walk up to the edge, but not step over the brink.
And so it's time to close the book on this edition of the NCAA Newsreel, your unblinking eye for the unusual and the exotic in the world of college hoops.
Hey, Jimmy, I'm sure that Richard Nixon had to tell Danny Ferry that on the basketball court, there's no way they can practice subtle diplomacy against the Hoyas today.
I'm sure he made himself perfectly clear. And while we're trying to clear things right now, let's take a look at the brackets and the way things stand right now on the road to the Final Four. James, of course, Michigan advancing yesterday with the win against Virginia, awaiting the winner of the Illinois-Syracuse game, which is just minutes away. Seton Hall also advancing, and will face the winner of the Georgetown-Duke game, the second game of our doubleheader. You know, putting things maybe a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but if the 2 1 seeds win today, Illinois and Georgetown, that would mean in Seattle you'd have a Big Ten bracket on one side, Illinois and Michigan, and a Big East on the other. You'd have Seton Hall and Georgetown with the winner of each conference meeting in the championship game. Of course, in the meantime, there's a lot to be decided. Illinois and Syracuse coming up next. That's the Midwest Regional Final. And many fans may not remember as well, but Lou Henson's been to the Final Four before. In fact, that was back in 1970. He led New Mexico State to the promised land. Right now, though, we're set to see if he can do it with the Illini. They've got to get past Syracuse. Vern Lundquist and Tommy Heinsohn will call that game for you as the road to the Final Four continues after this word.
Rolling its way to the Final Four in Seattle behind their spectacular forward, Nick Anderson, and the explosive moves of Kendall Gill. The two have put the Fighting Illini in the regional finals for the first time since 1984. For Syracuse, not even back spasms have stopped Derek Coleman from making his point. And with a magic touch from guard Sherman Douglas, they're one game away from reaching the Final Four for the second time in 3 years. Coming up, it's the Big East against the Big Ten.
To this multi-purpose facility, 2 spots in the Final Four have already been determined. The winner of this game gets Michigan next Saturday in Seattle, and later this afternoon, it's Georgetown against Duke. But our feature game first, the Orange Men of Syracuse against the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bert Lundquist, and welcome to downtown Minneapolis. Form has held here in the Midwest. The top two seeds have made it through. Top-seeded Illinois and second-seeded Syracuse both come in with 30 victories for the year. And if you like the color orange, we offer up an Easter delight today. My partner is Tommy Heinsohn. Tommy, the injury update for Illinois. Ken Battle will start. Lowell Hamilton will not, but will play. Now, how does that impact on the team?
Well, they will have to end up starting Marcus Liberty, who as a first-year player did an outstanding job against Louisville on Friday night. Ended up with 14 points and 8 rebounds. That's the type of game plus that they may need for him this afternoon in order to beat Syracuse.
The spotlight will also be on a young player for Syracuse, Billy Owens, one of the two most highly touted freshmen coming into the season, has had an outstanding NCAA tournament.
Well, I think somewhere along the line they figured, hey, we got to stop Coleman, we got to stop Douglas, but Billy Owens has been sensational in this tournament, averaging over 20 points a game at a big night, 25 against Missouri. I think he's a key player for this ball club this afternoon.
Winner gets Michigan next week in Seattle. We'll settle the outcome and introduce the starting lineups right after this.
CBS Sports comes
regional final, only the second time the two teams have met. Last time was in 1979, and Illinois won that one. Now let's meet the starting lineups. Here's our public address announcer, Bob Casey.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hubert Horatio Humphrey Metrodome here in the Twin Cities for this afternoon's Midwest Regional Final between the Syracuse Orangemen and the Illinois Fighting Illini. And now let's meet the starting lineups. For Syracuse at forward, a 6'9" freshman from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, number 30, Billy Owens. For Illinois at forward, a 6'6" junior from Chicago, number 25, Nick Anderson. For Syracuse at forward, a 6'4" junior from Los Angeles, number 32, Steve Thompson. For Illinois at forward, a 6'8" sophomore from Chicago, number 30, Marcus Liberty. For Syracuse at center, a 6'9" junior from Detroit, Michigan, number 44, Derek Coleman. For Illinois, a 6'6" senior from Aurora, Illinois, number 33, Kenny Battle. For Syracuse at guard, a 6'5" junior from New York, number 3, Matt Rowe. For Illinois at guard, a 6'4" junior from Carlisle, Illinois, number 33, Steve Bardo. For Syracuse at guard, a 6' senior from Washington, D.C., number 20, Sherman Douglas. For Illinois at guard, a 6'4" junior from Matson, Illinois, number 13, Kendall Gill. And the head coaches in his 13th season as head coach of the Orangemen, Jim Boeheim. And in his 15th season as head coach for the Illini, Lou Hinson.
Number 1, Illinois. Number 2, Syracuse. Back with the tip in a moment. Thus far in the tournament, Syracuse disposed of Bucknell and Colorado State in Dallas, then got by Missouri here on Friday night. Illinois went to Indianapolis, where they ousted McNeese State and Ball State, and then got from behind to defeat Louisville 83-69.
Well, Vern, I think that Illinois must contain Sherman Douglas today, his penetration. And I think Syracuse must take advantage of the pressure defense by getting layups. And they need to get over the top of some of the smaller people of Illinois going to the hoop.
First question is answered, Tommy. Kendall Gill draws the assignment defensively on Sherman Douglas. Here's Stevie Thomas. He's got Bardo on him. Douglas penetrates, puts it up, rims out, rebound. Syracuse, Thompson up and in.
And they had Nick Anderson out playing Matt Rowe. That takes him off the defensive glass. Syracuse in a zone right now. Going to play a little soft, make them look, test the outside shooting of, and there's the great rebounding by their guards. That's going to be a factor.
Shot by Battle, the rebound by Gill, and he got the basket. And again, it's Gill on Douglas. That might switch later on, but that's how Lou Hinson has opted to start the game. Thrown away.
Well, it's size against quickness. the big guard Gill, and there's Douglas going to the hoop, and Thompson came up with the rebound for the putback.
Again, Lowell Hamilton, the senior captain, not starting. He injured an ankle 3 minutes into the game Saturday night. Kenny Battle playing with a bummed up right knee. That was injured when he slipped in a water spot here during a shoot-around on Thursday.
They say Illinois is a very small team, but the average size of Illinois is bigger than the average size of Syracuse. And the difference is in the backcourt. And that's where I think Illinois is hoping to take advantage. And they have so far in this game.
Liberty missed the shot, but the rebound obtained by Kenny Battle. Now, the interesting thing, there's so much made about this short Illinois team, but on average, they're just like that. There's Kenny Battle.
They may be small, but they get over the top of anybody. That's a Syracuse play. Like, in your face, we can do it too.
Syracuse on the offense, another turnover. Take a look at the alley-oop.
Well, a key play that helps Syracuse get going most of the time, but in this zone, you've got to protect against guys going along the baseline. Syracuse not alert.
4-2 Illinois. We played 2 minutes. The winner gets Michigan. Steve Fisher, by the way, is watching this game in our studios. He'll be James and Jim's guest at halftime. 4-2 Illinois. Marcus Liberty had a terrific game the other night. Misses again. That's 0 for 2 for Liberty. In the first game of the tournament, he went 0 for 7 against Bucknell and did not shoot in the second game, and then had a strong game in the win over Louisville. Back it comes to Stevie Thompson. And again, Bardo has drawn the defensive assignment on him. Turnover number 3. Strong to the basket. Battle.
Illinois, once they get a rebound, will come at you very quickly. 5 can get up there so fast you don't know what to do. So the guards of Syracuse will be really tested at trying to hold that fast break from happening until Coleman gets down to protect the basket.
Now the pressure applied by Illinois. It's a 6-footer Douglas and 6'4" Kendall Gill. That's the point Tommy was making in the backcourt. Illinois has an advantage. Matt Rowe, been a quiet participant in recent weeks.
Well, they're putting Illinois is putting their biggest power person on the inside on Matt Rowe, a guard. And he's going to be trying to cheat to help in on the inside and rebound. That's going to give Rowe an awful lot of opportunity.
Kendall Gill tries to follow. Liberty can't get the rebound. Coleman does. Foul on Liberty. And just a footnote to that Matt Rowe three-pointer. With that, he set a Syracuse school record. He broke a tie he'd held with Craig Monroe. He's now got 80 for the season. Lou Henson in his 14th year as head coach at Illinois. 5-4 Syracuse lead.
Now they're going to let, instead of Douglas fight his way up the court, they're going to let Rowe bring the ball up a lot against Anderson, the forward.
They got Liberty defending on Coleman down on the post. He fronts him right now. Owens. That's good. He'll shoot one.
You know what I think happened with Billy Owens is that these coaches kind of went to the stat sheet in this tournament, and they hadn't played Syracuse, and they said, well, you know, Stephen Thompson's really a great offensive player, their leading scorer. We got to stop Douglas. We got to do something with Coleman. Let's gamble off Billy Owens, and that's just turn him loose and really gave him an opportunity to show the skills that everybody in the East knows he has.
Jimmy Boeheim said that Billy Owens has sublimated himself to the team concept. He was the team at Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where his team won 4 state championships, and he has really fit himself into this ball club. Anderson counters. That's his first 2.
Well, he just slid right into the gap that time. Quick pass. Nobody got to him. That's well within his range.
Douglas brings it across the timeline. Again, the defensive matchup, Gill on Douglas. Liberty is on Coleman. Battle on Billy Owens. Stephen Thompson. Now the switch as Bardo has Rowe. Rebound. Kendall Gill of Illinois. Bardo. Anderson. 2 more.
What a quick release. That hit him at the letters, and it was up.
And we are tied at 8. Syracuse team started the season with 13 victories. Then they lost 4 of 5. They had Sherman Douglas out with a back injury. They opened Big East play, and they lost 2 games with him out. That game on at the end of the year, 3rd place finish in the Big East. Here's Coleman, and the foul on Liberty.
Interesting to me what's going on against Sherm Douglas. They're trying to contain him, not let him get wild. But Sherm Douglas is very, very in control of himself, not pushing anything that's not going to happen. He's reading the defense, but they have 2 big guards trying to defend against Douglas.
Now, Lou Henson made a change I don't know he wanted to make, but Liberty draws 2 quick fouls. So the sophomore from Chicago is on the bench. And Lowell Hamilton has come into the lineup. Again, he injured an ankle when he fell over the back of Felton Spencer 3 minutes into the ball game on Friday night, and played only 13 minutes. There's Bardo, who chases down the loose ball. 9-8 Syracuse. Lowell Hamilton will test it early. Blocked, foul. And Coleman picks up a quick one.
Well, they went to him quickly, as you say, and he looked like he got up as high as he can get up against Coleman, which is his normal jumping. So maybe a little fake-out job here by playing Hamilton.
Well, you saw him in pregame warm-ups and said he didn't leave the floor.
Well, they have this tip-in drill that they come out on the floor with, put the ball on the backboard and jump up and try and tip it back up onto the backboard. He never left the ground on that drill, so didn't look good, but on that shot, he elevated.
Hamilton gets 1 of 2. We're tied at 9. 15-10 to go, first half.
This matchup is so interesting to me. A big guard. Can a big guard with quickness stop Sherm Douglas? Not fighting it whatsoever. He's trying to find the real opening in that Illinois defense.
Matt Rowe looks underneath for Stevie Thompson. There's a takeaway by Kendall Gill, and Douglas got caught with the foul. There was the matchup you talked about. And the winner in that case was Kendall Gill in Illinois. Time has been called on the court. We're tied at 9.
The key matchup, Gill against Sherman Douglas. We want to see the size 6'4" of Gill go against the smaller player, 6 foot Sherman Douglas. Most big defenders are afraid to go up and challenge Douglas. Gutsy move there by Kendall Gill.
It's funny, Sherman Douglas, right after the captains met at midcourt before the game, turned to the officials, all 3 of them, and he said, watch the guard play, or watch the post play. And there's the second alley-oop for Illinois. Can battle with the basket. Illinois back on top by 2. And Douglas and Gill. Douglas told Larry Lembo, Jim Rife, and John Moreau, please watch him underneath. In other words, ignore me. And there's Douglas penetrating.
Well, Douglas that time, everybody with a white uniform played him for the pass. Had an easy shot.
Kendall Gill gets the pass from Steve Bardo. Entry pass, Hamilton for 2.
Once you get the ball down into the corner like that, it's 2 points. And Coleman did the smart thing. He backed off.
Hamilton was limping as he went back up court after making the layup. 13-11, Illinois. Syracuse, of course, in the Final Four in 1987. Billy Owens, no good, and that'll be Syracuse ball. Illinois has not been to the Final Four since 1952. Substitution now. David Johnson makes the entrance into the ball game and replaces Matt Rowe. This is a pattern that Jim Boeheim has gone to the last part of the season.
Well, I don't think they totally utilized Rowe as well as they could with Nick Anderson on the outside. Rowe only handled the ball a couple of times.
Hamilton. Coleman. And it's 13-13 at the 13:30 mark.
Syracuse presses, but only when they want to spring a surprise on you. They lull you into thinking you can bring the ball up, and all of a sudden they'll snap that full court pressure on you.
Now Syracuse in a man-to-man. Kendall Gill spins back to Lowell Hamilton, tries the jumper, short, foul. Stephen Thompson.
Looked at Jimmy Boeheim that time, Division II Coach of the Year. 4th winningest coach that's active today.
Well, the ball has come over and nestled right below. You're welcome.
I was going to hook it from here.
I saw you hook it in warm-ups. You still got the touch. Out here about 2 hours before the game started. Saw Tommy hit 2 hooks from 3-point range, as a matter of fact.
Sweet and low, shooting the foul shots.
That's his nickname because that's the way they say he plays. Illinois gets it back, 13-13. Bardo off the glass. Hamilton battle for the loose ball. Douglas has it for Syracuse. Nice pass, Billy Owens.
And Syracuse has speed at all positions. Douglas, beautiful heads up. Reads the defense like a pro.
15-13 Syracuse. Anderson was a one-man terror in the win the other night. Here's Douglas on the fast break. Gill behind him. And Gill passes on the attempted block and lets Douglas get 2. And it's a 4-point lead at 17-13. We talked about Syracuse 13-0 start. Illinois got off to a 17-0 start. Kendall Gill went down with a stress fracture in his foot. Missed 12 games. They are 30-4. That's a season record for victories. There's Gill. No. And the rebound battle won by Owens. The outlet pass. 3-on-2 alley-oop.
Run your alley-oop off the fast break. You better go out and challenge Stephen Thompson on the wing.
6 unanswered points for Jim Boeheim's bunch. They lead 19-13.
Syracuse pulling everybody back to help out on the boards. Douglas, the guard, ends up with the rebound, but the big people well out in front. And there's Billy Owens, and he can run. Now, again, a fast break. The alley-oop, you've got to go out and challenge Stevie Thompson on the wing. Don't let him get near the basket, otherwise it's over the top of the defense with the pass.
Saw the streak that Syracuse is on. Both of these teams capable of streaking. And this one belongs to Syracuse. That's 10 in a row.
One of the problems when you have a small front line, if you're going to jam the offensive board, you send 4 people back. That leaves 1 defender. Syracuse exploiting that beautifully now.
Kendall Gill. Turnover, Illinois. Coming up next, Duke versus Georgetown. The final team to get into the Final Four will be the winner of that one. Duke or Georgetown will take on Seton Hall next Saturday in Seattle. The winner of this game gets Michigan. And how about the effort of P.J. Carlesimo's Seton Hall team defensively in the last 3 games?
Surprising a lot of people that they're that good defensively, but what really impresses me is the very intelligent guard play they're getting. Pushing it up, taking the opportunities on the fast break when they're there, or getting into their set offense. And how about that Australia?
Andrew Gaze.
Yes. I mean, I want to go down there and see what's going on down after. They got a lot of three-point shooters down there like him.
Well, he's enough for Seton Hall, I know. He got hot yesterday. Here's Liberty coming back in with 2 fouls because Kenny Battle got his second. So Battle will rest his weary right knee, and Liberty comes back in with 2. It's been a 10-0 run now for the Orange Men. And the free throw problems. David Johnson is at the free throw line. He hit 2 critical free throws down the stretch. He's only a 50% free throw shooter. When they won over Missouri the other night, Jim Boeheim said when he got those 2, it was like an answered prayer. 21-13.
Syracuse has to get out by at least 10 points coming down the last 2-3 minutes of the ball game because of that foul shooting problem.
This is an Illinois team that has come from behind in big games earlier this year. There's Gill. No, they're cold now. And again, they first looked for the outlet, but settled for Sherman Douglas.
Oh, with Johnson in there playing the other guard spot, they got an additional rebounder, and boy, they're making Illinois pay, getting it up quickly off the outlet.
It's a 12-0 edge offensive foul. It's called on Larry Smith, who had entered the game off the bench at a guard spot for Lou Henson's team.
Sherman Douglas has played with such poise here in this early part of the first half. Hasn't forced a thing on his own game and has orchestrated everybody else getting into what they do best. They've changed the matchup on him. They've got the smaller Larry Smith on him.
Billy Owens adjusts the shot and hits it. And it is a 12-point edge for Syracuse.
You know, when you look at Syracuse as a coach, you say, what kind of a system do they have? Do I defense their system? No, they don't have a system. I have to defense 5 guys individually.
That ends the string as Larry Smith goes back door and gets the basket. It was a 14-0 run in the Friday night win over Missouri. The Orange men exploded for 16 unanswered points in the second half.
See how nicely they take the pressure off Douglas when they put the press on. They bring Owens up, a forward, power forward at that, can dribble it up.
25-15. David Johnson. Freshman from Morgan City, Louisiana, who spent his senior year in high school playing in Maine in a prep league. And it's back to 12.
Syracuse, for the last few trips up the court, has been in a man-to-man.
Spin move, baseline, blocked out of bounds. That's another problem that Illinois had in their win over Louisville. They had 13 blocked shots against them in that game.
You watch Coleman right now, number 44, does not go up on the penetration of Gill, stays there, ready to block there, but from behind, Johnson blocks it. Just because Coleman was there for the intimidation.
Herman Hareed has come into the lineup now, the 5th-year senior. Kenny Battle with the alley-oop. And the lead is 10.
It's going to be like a comic strip with these alley-oops.
27-17, 8:50 to go first half. Winner gets Michigan. Steve Fisher again watching the game, the interim coach. That shot short. Here comes Illinois in transition. Kendall Gill by Thompson, 2.
Precious few fast breaks. Illinois gets most of theirs off steals.
And Jim Boeheim has called time. The lead is now 8. Next Saturday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time in Seattle, we'll have Countdown to the Kingdom, a preview of the Final Four live from the Kingdome at 5 o'clock, and then followed by the semifinals. 2 are in. Michigan and Seton Hall. 2 more will enter that quartet today. And right now, Syracuse leads Illinois 27-19. And Kendall Gill has gone back to guard Sherman Douglas now. They tried Larry Smith for a couple of minutes. Foul on Smith down underneath as he went at Derek Coleman. This Illinois team, in posting a 30-4 record, Tom, has shown a heck of an ability to go in streaks. They were down by 18 to Missouri earlier this year. Came back and won.
When you look through their press guide, they've got it documented on the scoring streaks or runs that they've had in ball games with this pressure defense. And it's very, very impressive. So they can explode at any time, and I'm sure Syracuse is well aware of that fact. Being very cautious bringing the ball up against their press. They have not attacked the basket, but Illinois has not been able to really get out there and make any steals.
Coleman gets them both. Derek Coleman playing with a sore lower back. He injured his tailbone in the final regular season game against Georgetown. Sat out the first game of the tournament against Bucknell. And this is on Billy Owens. Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where he played for Dave Lebo, Jeff Lebo's dad, the outstanding guard in North Carolina. 118-11 in high school. Guy does not know what it means to lose. Fast break again, and Douglas pushes it forward to Stephen Thompson. 6 points for Thompson, and the lead is 31-19.
One thing that Illinois is doing is keep 4 guys to bang the offensive boards. That's leaving only 1 man to stop Syracuse's fast break.
That's the second foul on Billy Owens.
Here's the last steal as it went inside, and Owens just reached out, and there's a 2 on nobody as even the quick guard couldn't get back to protect.
And Tommy, if you counted the bodies dressed in white, you saw 4 Illinois bodies very close to the basket.
That's so important when you gamble. If you've got a small front line and your strength for size is really in the back court, you put one of your guards in on the boards a little bit to help you, figuring that this guy has got a good chance to get some offensive rebounds. Bardo was that man in the last game, ended up with 8 rebounds.
Kenny Battle, who started his career at Northern Illinois, transferred when the coach left, and is in his second season now at Illinois, the soul and the heart of this team.
Sherman Douglas, the trap hasn't even gotten close to Sherman Douglas to bother him or confuse him.
And again, they go back with Owens to help bring it across the timeline. 31-20, 7:29 to go in the first half. Winner gets Michigan. Off the glass, no. Rebound, Coleman gets another rebound and puts the shot through. Derek Coleman had 12 rebounds in limited play on Friday night.
But Sherman Douglas created that opportunity with his penetration.
Oh, dear!
Put that in the highlight film. Well, lead with it.
Oh, what a shot. How did he do it without a trampoline? 6:50 to go in the half. There's the answer from Billy Owens. And he's got 9 points to lead all scorers.
Is he going to be tough the next 3 years?
Syracuse hitting 75% from the field. They're 15 of 20. The shot doesn't fall. Watch the Illinois agility.
Well, they challenge him underneath the basket so that he has to lean around, and instead of throwing the right hand up, he has to hook it with his left. How he did that, I don't know, because there's really no room. Here's it from another angle, and he has to do it with his left hand off the basket, and that is probably the toughest way to kiss it off the glass.
That's a pretty good example of why he's a part of the heart and soul of the Illinois team. There's Kenny Battle.
You know, they created an award that they're going to give out from here on in for Kenny Battle. They're going to call it the Kenny Battle Award. And because he's a senior, from here on, it's going to be given to the guy who shows the most hustle on the ball club. And Lou Hinson says, this year, I could give it to 5 guys. In fact, maybe I will.
Battle again. This one won't go. Stolen. 2 more. Here comes Syracuse again.
Attack the basket. Illinois, no shot blocker. Once they got to pass the trap, they got it back into the hands of the best ball handler, Sherman Douglas. It was a 3-on-2, and he knew who was going to get it right away.
Owens has 11. Kendall Gill off the glass, kissed it nicely, and it falls through. 37-27, under 6 minutes to go in the half. Douglas, spin move. Dish. Coleman, no. And the rebound belongs to Illinois. The lead is 10. Nick Anderson, short. Follow shot.
There were 4 banging on the boards. That time it worked. They ended up with the hoop, but there was only 1 man back against 3 Syracuse players.
37-29, Coleman at the other end. Here's Sherman Douglas. Short. Rebound, Illinois. Gill, 1-on-3. And he does pull back. Hamilton. Illinois ball.
Look at all these white jerseys around here. There's that shot once again. It's being banged around there. Battle with great hands, puts it back up, and makes it pay. But there were 4 people jamming. That time it worked to their advantage. Look at them all. 3 Syracuse players. That's what they're counting on, is overpowering you with their guard on the boards.
Larry Smith back into the lineup now for Illinois. Feeds low. Hamilton, no. And the rebound comes down in the hands of Derek Coleman. Rebounds 13 for Illinois, 12 now for Syracuse. It's a 37-29 ball game, 4:44 to go first half.
The surprising statistic that I saw in Syracuse against Missouri is that Missouri out-rebounded Syracuse 49-27, and Syracuse still won.
Loose ball, Hamilton gets it to Larry Smith. Smith, left side. Smith, the quickest of the guards. The shot is good. And Lowell Hamilton is limping badly. The senior captain of Illinois, favoring a sore right ankle. It's 37-31. A 12-point lead has been cut to 6. Here's the alley-oop. Missed. Steve Bardo. Larry. .3:35 to go. Foul on Hamilton. We're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Midwest Regional Final. The winner of this game takes on Michigan with Glenn Rice and Sean Higgins next Saturday in Seattle. And coming up later this afternoon, Georgetown against Duke to fill out the Final Four quartet. Syracuse jumped off to a 12-point lead on 75% shooting from the field. But now Illinois has fought back and they trail by 4.
We were doing a piece on foul shooting, and we were talking to Coleman, and they wanted to get him to make some statements about foul shots. And he said, "Don't interview me. You want to interview Stephen Thompson."
Said, "I'm hitting 70%.
I'm hitting 70%.
Kenny Battle goes to the Illinois bench, and Marcus Liberty comes back in, both playing with 2 fouls. And Coleman at the line, where he is 4 of 6, 5 of 7.
I'd say he has played very intelligently with regards to his foul. Backed off some things like a year ago he would have gone and ended up picking up a foul.
There's another turnover.
Hareed made that happen.
Herman Hareed, who's been a defensive whiz in the tournament. Coleman. Too strong again. And it comes down for Illinois. 3-on-1. Smith loses control, foul.
I never thought that would happen because Rowe, who really is not a leaper, had 2 guys on the wing. Here's 5 guys crashing the boards for Syracuse and banging. Nobody really can get a good fingertip control, soft shot to it. But once they get it, look what happens. The backcourt is virtually uncovered. And they had an opportunity right here, a 3-on-1. Couldn't get the ball to the wing.
Larry Smith at the line. Both teams in the bonus. Got the first. Larry Smith had a tragedy in his family just before the game on Friday. His mother suffered a stroke, and she is resting comfortably and in good condition in Alton, Illinois now. That happened just prior to the game Friday night. Here's Stephen Thompson back into the lineup now. And Matt Rowe goes to the bench. And Larry Smith comes out for Illinois. So we'll set the lineups for you. Bench scoring now, Illinois 14-2. Both teams go about 8 deep. Here's Hareed, who doesn't score much but plays terrific defense, along with Douglas, Thompson, David Johnson, and Coleman on the floor for Syracuse. And for Illinois, it's Kendall Gill, who's the man guarding Douglas. Douglas with the dish.
That time the quickness prevailed on Gill as Gill tried to steal the ball. Watch him with the little up move, and that's too much. You're off balance, and Douglas will make you pay for that. Once he got into the defense, all they had to do was try to adjust, end up fouling him. But you've got to try and contain Douglas. Don't let him get in your defense. That's what every coach says, because he will kill you.
Sherman Douglas, the hero of the win on Friday night. 6 consecutive free throws in the last 1:08 of the ball game. And he gets this one. That's the interesting thing about Jim Boeheim's team. They are notorious for their poor free throw shooting, but he's always maintained that they usually, and I put a qualifier and a line under that, but they usually shoot fairly well down the stretch.
Well, they don't keep any statistics, though, do they?
No,
that we could verify that.
A lot of teams will keep a statistic on critical free throws, those made in the final 4 minutes of the ball game. It's an unknown stat at Syracuse. Out of bounds. Syracuse ball.
I'll tell you, Herman Hareed has played exceptional defense when he's been called upon in the 2 games we've seen him play. That time he forced the turnover by getting on top of Liberty.
Hareed held Colorado State's best player, Pat Durham, to a season-low 7. in the season opener. He's been an inspiration to the Syracuse team as well. Here's Coleman. That's where he's gotten so much better.
Decently out there range and also getting his low post game together. Vastly improved player. And maturity-wise, he understands when to go after the block shot and when not to.
Marcus Liberty. Hamilton. That's another turnover. That's 8 for Illinois. There's one for Syracuse. At the conclusion of today's NCAA tournament game, we'll select the Chevrolet Players of the Game. In conjunction with the award, Chevrolet will donate $1,000 to the General Scholarship Fund of both schools. Turnovers now 5 for Syracuse, 8 for Illinois. Gill has it knocked loose. Anderson. And Liberty finally gets one to fall.
He has got a touch. He doesn't have the physique of some of these other Illinois players, but he's more of a finesse player. He can be tough.
Fareed saves it in the backcourt. He's guarded by Liberty. They skip the pass over to Stephen Thompson. Offensive foul.
One of the problems for Stephen Thompson is that he jumps so high, it gives the defender an extra count to get underneath there. That time the defender had great position. It was a charge.
That's the second foul on Steve Thompson. Billy Owens also playing with 2, and 3 men with 2 fouls each for Illinois. Battle, Liberty, and Larry Smith. This is Steve Bardo, the junior. Number 35, the best defensive player on the Illini. Nick Anderson turnaround, short. And he stays at 43-37. 1:13 to go in the first half. The winner gets Michigan. Seton Hall will take on either Georgetown or Duke in the other semifinal next Saturday from Seattle on CBS. Georgetown and Duke coming up at the conclusion of our game. And again, Steve Fisher, the Michigan interim coach, is in the studio with Jim Nance and James Brown. Here's Thompson for 2.
That time they trapped Douglas, and he got the ball alertly to Thompson, who was all alone going to the hoop.
Bardo weaves his way through. Three-pointer. No. Nick Anderson. Yes.
What a horse he is. Wow.
Final 30 seconds of the half. Syracuse has led by as many as 12. It's at 6 points right now. And they have done so on torrid first half shooting. They're 18 of 28 from the field. Gill almost got it away from Douglas. Thompson. Foul on Bardo.
Bardo is their best defender, and he ends up trying to defend against Thompson. Thompson's a forward, smaller than the Illinois big guard, who is 6'6". So he's got a quickness advantage on Bardo.
And Stephen Thompson at the line where he has had terrible problems.
You know one of the ways he tried to break this thing and psych himself out? For a period of time in practice, he was shooting free throws with his eyes closed. I mean, that one, when I read that, I said, how did he hope to improve that way?
It's all a mental game. Shots no good. And that's the end of the half with our scores. Syracuse 46, Illinois 39. Our coverage of the NCAA basketball tournament continues after this message and a word from your local station.
Lead is 7 for Syracuse at halftime. At one time, it was 13, 35-22 in the Midwest Regional Final. Welcome back to New York, everybody. Jim Nance along with James Brown. Seton Hall and Michigan are now set, of course, for Seattle. By the end of the day, the Final Four will be complete. Now, one thing that led the comeback for the Illini in the first half, the old battle cry for the Illini. How about this highlight by Kenny Battle in the first half, James?
Jimmy, certainly this move under the hoop where he goes past the basket and throws it up with his left hand has to qualify as one of the moves of the entire tournament. His 9 points helped them to get back within 7 of Syracuse, but give Syracuse an awful lot of credit. Good front line play, but the key has been Sherman Douglas, his composure and leadership. Well, still to come this afternoon, the second game on tap will, of course, be the East Regional Final between two superb defensive teams, the Hoyas of Georgetown and the Blue Devils of Duke. For a preview look at that contest, let's check in out at the Meadowlands with Brent Musburger.
The Empire State Building is basking in a glorious springtime afternoon, and come across the Hudson River to the Meadowlands, where the final piece of the Final Four puzzle comes together. The Georgetown Hoyas will look to their freshman big man, Alonzo Mourning, while the Duke Blue Devils rely heavily on the passing and shooting of senior Danny Ferry. Coach John Thompson is looking for his 4th trip to the Final Four, while Coach K has been there 2 of the last 3 years. Today, the East Regional Final. Next up, Seattle. And welcome to Donald Trump's backyard. We think we've got a great one for you today between Duke and Georgetown. We've talked about the offensive stars, Mourning and Ferry, but take a look at the defensive breakdown of these 2 teams. You all know about the Hoyas and how we have bragged on them all year, but look at this Blue Devil defense, and especially the forced turnovers, 21 a game or 4 more than Georgetown. Now the key will be, what in the world are the Hoyas going to do to stop one Danny Ferry?
Defensive key is just stop Ferry, because you know that he's basically the nucleus of their team, and we're going to try to stop Ferry. They come out and really attack defensively, so we have to play real strong with the ball, and at the same time, don't let them make us rush things.
So that's coming up a little bit later. Duke against Georgetown, and right now, back to James Brown.
All right, Brent, I think a real key in that one is going to be the matchup with Danny Ferry, because he can go outside and do it.
We'll look forward to that, James. The women's Final Four is now set after the regional finals were complete last night. Auburn won the Mid-East final over Mississippi. Next up for the Lady Tigers will be Louisiana Tech. The Lady Techsters heading to the 3rd straight Final Four. Maryland won at Texas last night to win the women's West final, snapping a Texas 24-game win streak. And now here are the brackets. Auburn and Louisiana Tech, Tennessee against Maryland. That's the women's Final Four, with action Friday at Tacoma. And don't forget that next Sunday we'll have the women's NCAA championship game right here on CBS Sports beginning at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll come back as the Southeast Regional Champions return home, the Michigan Wolverines, at Willow Run Airport just outside of Ann Arbor. Coach Steve Fisher leading his team back home after winning the Southeast Regional Final against Virginia. And now joining us live from Ann Arbor is Coach Steve Fisher, and the interim coach of the Wolverines. Has that changed at all on the last day, Coach? Has Athletic Director Bo Schembechler had any news for you since that victory yesterday?
Well, Jim, Bo was at our game yesterday and tremendously excited, as all of us were. And he came in the locker room after the game and put his arm around me and said, "Fisher, you're doing a great job," and had a brief pep talk for the kids and said, on to Seattle and more of the same. And he told me a long time ago that I was going to coach the team through the tournament, and we would talk on other things after the tournament. Neither of us have talked about it since.
Well, Steve, of course, you'll continue to hear this question until something definitive has been done, but do you feel that you've done what it takes up to this point in the tournament to merit the head coaching job?
James, you know, the same thing. I've told our kids to focus on the job at hand and not worry about things that they can't control. And I would be a little hypocritical myself if I started worrying about Steve Fisher and not concentrating on either Illinois or Syracuse now, or Virginia and North Carolina last week. So I'm not going to worry about that. It sounds like it might not be true. I might be throwing lines at you, but I honestly have not given it much thought. I'm more concerned with how our team's going to be prepared, whether they're going to know what to do and when to do it, than anything else.
Coach, you alluded to the fact that Bo had been in the locker room after the victory against Virginia yesterday and talked to the team. We had a camera in the locker room and caught some of the speeches from Bo Schembechler.
You can do it. You know now in your minds you can do it. All you need to do is play together, be tough, not worry about who's doing what, just all play together. And you know damn well you can win this whole thing. And you know what I hope? I hope we get Illinois.
Well, Bo wants Illinois, Steve. What about yourself? You've been watching the first half.
Well, I've seen Illinois up front and personal twice, and they are a terrific basketball team. They have handled us rather easily in both of the 2 previous meetings. Syracuse is also a terrific team, as we're witnessing today. We're going to have our hands full no matter who we play, and to be quite honest with you, it doesn't matter to us. We're thrilled and proud. We're going to be heading to Seattle, and we will take whoever comes out of this game today.
Steve, just out of curiosity, have you had any contact with Bill Frieder at all, and has he said anything to you?
Yes, Bill and I have talked almost daily, and he called me late last night again to offer his congratulations, and you know, it's not easy on him. He said his heart and soul is with our ball club, and he knew that we had the type of talent to win, and he's going to be in Seattle behind the scenes pulling for us, and you know, it's a difficult time at best, but he's doing a good job of coping, and I know he's been out recruiting even already for Arizona State.
Steve Fisher, thank you. We'll see you in Seattle this week.
Okay, thanks.
Good luck to you.
Steve Fisher, the coach of the Michigan Wolverines, headed to the Final Four. And let's remind you that next Saturday, the Countdown at the Kingdome will lead things off for us. A half-an-hour special coming up before the first game in the national semifinals. The Countdown at the Kingdome, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. And then the national semifinals, which have not been set to this point, but should be by the end of the day. And we'll come back now with the second half of Illinois and Syracuse as we continue on the...
With the Orangemen of Syracuse leading the Fighting Illini by 7, 46-39, as Syracuse used torrid early shooting to jump out to a 12-point lead. And Tom, we expected a game of transition and up-tempo, and the Orangemen certainly have had the better of it.
Well, they're the only ones that truly got it going. They did it with their defense. They did it with some rebounds and then quick pushes up the court. And all of a sudden, Douglas is in front of everybody. But they have utilized their fast break and ball handling ability to get a lot more easy baskets than Illinois. They have gotten precious few fast breaks. This is one of them in the first half. You see, player go down, and all of a sudden it's up quickly. Only one defender down there for Syracuse who had to make a tough move over the Syracuse player, Gill, to score.
Syracuse at 53%, but they only hit 2 of their last 14 in the first half. Illinois winds up at 50%. Points off turnovers, 11-4 Syracuse. And the leading scorers in the first half, Owens and Coleman with 11 for Syracuse. Anderson has 10 for Illinois.
The game has not been played by Illinois at the frenzied pace that they usually play, and they rely on that pressure defense to create that frenzy and up-tempo game, and Syracuse has handled that just beautifully.
Lou Henson in his 14th year trying to get an Illinois team to the Final Four for the first time since 1952, and the winner of this game takes on Michigan. Battle, Bardo, Gill, Anderson, and Liberty. Anderson gets the basket.
Had a size advantage on Thompson. They went there, elected to do that. Here's the pressure defense. First time it's really worked in the backcourt.
Ball inbound, and Urban Small is in the lineup now, number 24 for the Illini. From the corner, Gill.
Funky kids, I'll tell you that.
And Illinois gets the first baskets of this half. 5 points, and the lead is just 2.
And that time, Syracuse handled the pressure defense very easily to trap on Douglas, got it to Owens.
Coleman. Foul will be on Nick Anderson.
One of the most amazing things that I've seen in this tournament for Sherman Douglas is how well he understands strategy. I mean, really puts the whole game plan together and understands it. The strategy side of the game, you know, they call him the General Sherman. Well, he plans so well. They ought to have him plan the D-Day invasion. I mean, he's capable of doing that.
Coleman gets the first of 2. Sherman Douglas, of course, not highly recruited. That's been a well-documented story out of Spingarn High School in the D.C. area. And this year, he replaced another Spingarn graduate who played at Syracuse as the all-time leading scorer, Dave Bing. And if you can believe it, Douglas said he thought he would be only a role player at Syracuse when he went there. 47-44.
He is a role player.
Yeah.
A starring role.
Billy Owens, guarded by Nick Anderson. Check the matchups, Douglas and Gill. Now they switch, and Anderson is out on Sherman Douglas. Urban Small has Coleman in a low post. 18:40 to go. Winner takes on Michigan. Here's Billy Owens for 3. Rebound. What a great jump by Nick Anderson. Steve Bardo, the junior, off guard.
Off the rebound, no opportunity to push it up hard against the Syracuse defense.
Liberty, having started the game relatively ineffective, is on the bench. Hamilton with an ankle problem, and there's a great shot by Ken Battle.
What a spunky bunch. They're going to come at you. They don't give up. Lou Hinson said, we don't give up. The only way you've got to beat us. Pure and simple. We don't give up.
What was a 12-point lead midway through the first half is now 1. David Johnson, the freshman, on the floor for Syracuse, along with Douglas, Coleman, Thompson, and Owens. Douglas back to Coleman. He's fouled. And Irvin Small gets called for it, number 24. There's Eat and Sleep.
Oh, Eat and Sleep. Here's the crashing of the boards going on. And good rebound by Anderson, but can't find an outlet man. That allows plenty of time for Syracuse to retreat, so they can't get an easy hoop on the break.
Coleman gets the first of 2. In the Friday night game, Derek Coleman picked up 3 quick fouls. Had to play conservatively most of the game, played quite well. He's had an unusual problem lately. He has fouled out of 4 of the last 5 games since he got the back injury. But he only has 1 foul this afternoon.
He's playing well within himself.
Offensive foul, Steve Bardo.
There was the quickness against the size of the guards. The smaller player, Douglas, taking advantage of the bigger player, Bardo.
48-46, 17:35 to go. The pressure applied by Anderson on David Johnson. Syracuse, of course, runners-up for the national title in 1987.
I'm sure Lou Hinson thought that Douglas was going to bring the ball up against that pressure defense, and I think Jim Boeheim has responded by saying, why put Douglas under all that pressure with these big guys? Let Owens, who can handle it, bring it up.
Gill playing with a blood-soaked jersey, guarding Douglas. Stephen Thompson. Oh, nice move. Short. Johnson with the rebound for the Orange Men. It's a 48-46 game, under 17 minutes to go. Billy Owens.
A left-hander off the glass, put it on the floor. The best part of that move is that he wasn't sure they had retained possession. He'd gone back to protect against an Illinois fast break.
Foul by David Johnson. Nick Anderson is. We're at the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. A crowd of nearly 34,000 on hand for the second meeting ever between these two. The winner gets Michigan next week in Seattle. Seton Hall takes on either Georgetown or Duke. And how do you like what Seton Hall is doing? They're doing the tournament right. They went out to Tucson early, stayed out there, didn't come back, then went to the Denver Regional. And they did not come home after winning last night. Here's 2 more for Kendall Gill. And the pressure applied. P.J. Carlesimo was going to bring his team back to East Orange, New Jersey, but he said, why don't we go to Los Angeles? And so they got in the locker room yesterday afternoon, and he said, we'll vote. You guys decide. There was a long pause. One of the subs in the back. Here's the shot underneath. And the rebound taken down by Illinois. One of the subs raised his hand and said, I want to go home. P.J. said, you've only played 3 minutes all year. You're not deciding this. We're going to L.A. for a couple of days.
You think that kid will make the team next year?
So Seton Hall is in Los Angeles before they go on to Seattle. Illinois, 10 turnovers now to 8 for Syracuse.
You know, Kendall Gill at the press conference yesterday was very funny for Illinois. He said, you know, we've got all these players, and everybody says how difficult it is to play us. And he said, when we come up on the fast break, they don't know who to pick up. We're supposed to have an assigned man, but we're all the same size and have the same haircuts. So they don't know who we are. They can't tell us apart.
Shot for 3, Thompson rebound. Douglas gives it back to Matt Rowe. That's for 3 as well. This time it's Irvin Small with a rebound. Quickly to Larry Smith, who's come back in the lineup for Illinois. They can tie with a basket here. It's 50-48, 15:45 to go. Smith, entry pass, Nick Anderson. Goaltending, Derek Coleman. And we are tied at 50.
Nick Anderson roaming around in that low post reminds me a lot of Charles Barkley and Bernard King. Quick releases and also power moves.
Matt Rowe got that one for 3.
That side of the court must look like the Carrier Dome.
How much of an advantage might Syracuse have playing in this dome since all their home games are in a dome?
It might be because they feel very comfortable playing in here. The big expanses of the Carrier Dome, similar to what we're seeing here.
Up and in. Irvin Small. And it's 53-52 with 15 minutes to go. Thompson. Oh, what a move.
Quickness at the forward spot. Pays off.
At the other end, Battle. And he'll shoot a couple.
Wow, that's interesting. After a made basket, they're able to push the ball up the floor that quickly to attack the hoop. That's the type of frenzy this man wants. Get it up quick. Get it up quick. Lou Henson gets no respect. He's Rodney Dangerfield, you know. He's averaged 21 wins for 14 seasons.
Yeah, they had a losing season when he took over from Gene Bartow. There's his wife, Mary, who is from Lanark, Illinois. And one of the reasons, ironically, that Lou Henson took the Illinois job when he was offered was because his wife is from Illinois. Time has been called.
Off that guy going through. See, pressure him when the ball's quicker. They got to get off of it. Okay, going home. Yeah, let's go. The Aggies replacement, Jimmy Collins.
That was 1970. Lou Henson, the coach of New Mexico State. Jimmy Collins on the left, the star of that team, and a longtime star of the Chicago Bulls, is now one of Lou Henson's assistants. The interesting thing to me, Tommy, is how, in Lou Henson's case, his hair keeps growing and ours keeps going. He's got more now than he did then.
I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to say a word. You talk about your own hair.
Oh, you
can talk about his, but don't talk about mine.
Okay. 14-20 to go in the ball game. Stephen Thompson for two more. Lead is back to 4, 57-53. Larry Smith. Hamilton. Defended by Derek Coleman, and Syracuse has it. 10 turnovers for Illinois. At the other end, loose ball taken by Kenny Battle.
Good dribbling and big guy.
Hamilton fouled by Stephen Thompson. That's the third team foul on Syracuse. And the third foul on Steve Thompson. Don't forget, Duke versus Georgetown coming up next in East Rutherford, New Jersey. How do you like that game?
It appears that what people are trying to do to Georgetown is play a slow-down game a little bit, use good passing. Duke's got all the good passes that might give Georgetown a lot of problems. Princeton did it.
Hamilton misses. Anderson rebounds. Winner of that game gets Seton Hall out of Duke.
A rotation in the zone left the weak side wide open and very alertly taken advantage of by Illinois.
57-55. Illinois has not led since early in the ball game. Syracuse jumped off to a 12-point lead. The number 1 and 2 seeds in the Midwest. Orangeman came out of the Dallas Regional. Illinois from Indianapolis. Roll for 3. That's his third three-pointer in the ballgame.
Well, they have elected to cheat on all the other players, forgetting about Matt Rowe on the perimeter, and Douglas is starting to zero in on him.
Hamilton with the answer for Illinois.
Up quickly it comes.
12:40
I think
to go.
Syracuse is losing a little concentration on how quickly Illinois can bring the ball and put it back in your face.
Illini did get to the regional finals in 1984, but they lost to Kentucky and Lexington. That shot no good. Rebound Kendall Gill. They start normally 3 juniors and 2 seniors. Battle in Hamilton, the 2 seniors. There's one of the juniors, Nick Anderson.
There it was again, very alertly. Syracuse did not pick up their assigned men, and Illinois took advantage of it.
Boeheim timeout.
Defender losing his concentration right here. He overplays the man, allows him to come in here, and as the ball is swung, That man never gets back into the play, and it's over the top of the defense and wide open. Anderson hit that shot, but great pass and good read of the defense by Bardo.
Shots like that, one reason that Illinois is 9 of 10 from the field in this half. 90%. Syracuse 5 of 10 in this half.
All of Illinois' players can dribble the ball and pass.
No basket. Anderson with a foul before the shot, and Stephen Thompson goes to the line, where he has had so many problems. No, he does not go to the line. Beg your pardon. That is the 4th team foul, and the ball will be inbounded. Team fouls. It's 5 on Illinois now, 3 on Syracuse. 11:48 to go in the ball game. 60-59. Syracuse led by 12 in the first half. Coleman won't go. And a nice pass. Kendall Gill 1-on-2. Traveled.
What a great defensive play by Matt Rowe, however. And a hustle play by either Thompson or Douglas. I didn't catch who it was, but Rowe just went right up there and made sure that Gill would not have a good angle to attack the hoop.
Almost taken away. Foul called on Larry Smith. That's his 4th.
The Piranha defense in action once again, trying to create steals. That's the first time Syracuse has not been able to inbound the ball to either Douglas or Rowe.
But Larry Smith, the junior out of Alton, Illinois, picks up his 4th foul. And that is the 6th Illinois team foul. Next one puts Syracuse in the bonus. Alley-oop, Coleman.
Oh, what alertness there by Douglas. That wasn't a set play. He just spotted the defense not looking and paying attention and gave Coleman the nod.
Smith drives. Douglas with the foul.
Here's the alley-oop coming up. You see Douglas and his defender, Coleman's defender, not alert. And right on the money is the pass.
Irvin Small, Steve Bardo come back in for Larry Smith and Lowell Hamilton. I was chatting with you, and I were with Sherman Douglas on Thursday. Asked him if there was anyone else in the country he admired for their ability to shoot the alley-oop or pass the alley-oop. And he just looked at us and grinned for the longest time. Nope, finally, nope. He is the best at it.
The alley-oop was a set play that they put in 3 years ago, but now everybody scouts them. And there's the good outside shooting by Bardo.
Kendall Gill gets the
was Gill. All right.
And it's 62-all with 10:44 to go.
He has hit some big outside shots, Gill.
Owens. Thompson on the trampoline. Taken away. Loose ball. Thompson gets it back. Billy Owens, mid-air adjustment. Coleman reaches for it. Back to Rowe. Thompson. Got it.
Heads-up play by Rowe that time to make the defense adjust to him and then find Thompson on the wing.
Bardo gets it back to Kendall Gill. Matt Rowe. That's his 2nd.
If this remains as tight a ball game as it is right now, going down the stretch, you'd have to say that Illinois would be favored because they'd have the opportunity, if some of their key players at least aren't in foul trouble, to use that Syracuse disease, the non-ability to hit foul shots, to their advantage.
We're under 10 minutes. The winner here takes on Michigan in Seattle. Coleman with yet one more rebound. That's his 6th in the ball game. 9:45 to go. Billy Owens. The tip is great.
Oh, they have him listed at 6'4", Thompson. I don't think he's 6'2".
Lou Henson said of Stephen Thompson, I've never seen anybody jump like that. I remember another Thompson who played for North Carolina State who wasn't bad. First name was David. Kenny Battle gets the basket. And Sherman Douglas was down for just a second. 66-64.
What Illinois is doing so effectively is advancing the ball quickly And then I think Syracuse are losing their concentration, their big people, to get out and deny. They usually deny everybody pretty well.
There's the pass to Sherman Douglas. Irvin Small with a foul.
They use the old post pattern on the press, bring everybody up, and as they're overplaying Douglas, they throw that long court pass like they do in football. But they got back. Good adjustment that time by the biggest guy on the court for Illinois, Small. Even though he ended up fouling him, they stopped two.
David Johnson and Herman Hareed come into the lineup now. Sherman Douglas at the line where he's 2 of 2 today. Boy, he was deadly down the stretch against Missouri. 6 in a row in the last minute.
I just find it so hard to believe that this caliber of basketball player cannot shoot foul shots. This whole team seems to be seized with this problem. I don't think it seems to be. They are.
68-64, back to a 4-point edge. Syracuse continues to hang on. It's been tied in this half twice, but the Illini have never led. They got Bardo fouling Thompson. That's 4 fouls on Steve Bardo, the best defender for Illinois. And decision now for Lou Henson.
That is a big potential loss for Illinois because he's the big guard, 6'6" guard that really helps him on the boards. And if he's got to sit down, they got to go small.
Stevie Thompson goes to the line where he is hitting on the season less than 50%. There's the foul difficulty. Smith and Bardo with 4 each. Thompson has 3. Stevie Thompson, 1 of 2 today. Shooting 1 and 1. Lane violation.
Is Thompson going to talk to Hareed? I make one, and you're in too soon. But there's Thompson cheering him on, saying forget about it.
9 minutes to go. Winner gets Michigan in Seattle. Duke and Georgetown next. The winner of that one takes on Seton Hall in Seattle. All of it on CBS. 8:50 remaining. Steve Bardo. Oh, what a leap. Nick Anderson. And he'll shoot a couple.
That was college's version of Charles Barkley that time. That offensive rebound. He just knocked the one man that was trying on the top of your screen. You're going to see. And he just bangs up there over the top. And if he'd been able to go up quicker, he would have overpowered Coleman to boot. Nonetheless, he ends up at the foul line shooting 2. He's a nice fellow, this guy. Well, we were talking to him. He said, I hate to play slow-down basketball. I can't stand it when we have to stand around.
Talked about playing in the Prairie State League with a lot of the pros, Charles Oakley, Terry Cummings, Greg Hodges, and so on. A lot of his teammates said last summer, said, boy, that'll cause you to improve your game. Otherwise, you get grossly embarrassed
in front of your girlfriend.
Right. 68-66, 8:35 to go. Illinois trails by 2.
Billy Owens seems to have cooled off a little bit, lost his shooting touch here.
On the floor, it's Thompson and Douglas with Rowe, Coleman, and Billy Owens. Starting 5 back on the court now for Syracuse.
This is the time of the game that Douglas took over against Missouri.
Under 10 on the shot clock. Rebound, Kendall Gill. And a chance to tie once again or take the lead with a 3. Battle. We're tied.
There it is. What happens is Syracuse is retreating up the middle of the court and not going out and getting their men on the wings. And as soon as the Illinois player can get it, he's heading to the hoop, and he has the advantage.
Battle has 16 points now. And the third tie of this half. We've been tied at 50-50, 62 all, and 68 all. 7:43 to go. Alley-oop, Coleman. Small and Douglas fight for it. Taken away by Kendall Gill with a great move. Bardo calls for the ball. They go underneath to Anderson. And a chance for the Illini to take the lead for the first time since the opening moments.
No wonder they named the trophy after him.
Battle has 18. Illinois has the lead.
I think defensively, Illinois has found the way they've got to play Syracuse right now. They're really dropping down off Thompson and using his man to help out on everybody else.
Foul is called on Kenny Battle. That's his third. So the foul problems mount for Lou Henson's team, who is asking for supplication or intervention.
Palms up.
Help
on
from
Easter
somewhere.
Sunday.
Exactly.
Okay? That's a prayer when you have the palms up.
And that sends Billy Owens to the line. David Johnson back in for Matt Rowe. Owens 1 of 1.
The Illinois defense has stayed with Rowe, so his three-point shooting has not been able to utilize. So now Boeheim is opting with Johnson to say, we're going to challenge you on the boards and see if we can get some running into our game. Syracuse lays back. They play in spurts themselves, and they count on at least 1 or 2 spurts a game to go an 8-10-point run without you scoring.
Owens ties it up, 6:40 remaining. Winner gets Michigan. Anderson, no. Battles, no. Anderson gets it, puts it in.
They will eat your head off underneath there. Get out of their way.
The positionless clones as they were tabbed by our colleague Curry Kirkpatrick. 72-70 Illinois. None taller than 6'8", none shorter than 6'4" in the starting lineup. Douglas for 3. Short.
The size came into play that time. Gill got a piece of that three-point attempt.
Huge rebound edge now, and he was close through most of the first half. 5:40 remaining. Kendall Gill.
Bad gamble by Thompson that time. You never try and do that. You got to stick with the best outside shooter.
Gill's got 16. The Illinois lead is 4. Dish to Coleman for 2. 5:20 remaining in the ball game.
Syracuse is simply trying to get that speed into action here. That's the first time we've seen it this half.
David Johnson with a foul.
Lots of good rebounding going on right here. Look at smaller people over the top. Owens afraid to challenge. There's Nick Anderson. Nobody going up to block the shot because of the foul trouble. And Nick knew it.
Matt Rowe comes back into the lineup. And David Johnson sits down with his third foul. Nick Anderson will go to the line. He leads all scorers for Illinois with 22.
Nick Anderson the other day, the press conference said after beating Louisville without 2 of their key players, it felt like I played 135 minutes. After this one, it's going to feel like he played 335 minutes. He's scrapping.
He's an example of what Lou Henson is now doing so well. One of the Chicago kids who has come down to play for the Illinois team. They had a drought for years when they couldn't attract the best talent in Chicago. And Anderson misses, but Bardo rebounds.
Eat and sleep, did it. With the Michael Jordan pants on.
Holden score. Turnover.
But a small up front, huh? Watch this. They may be tiny, right? 6'6", off the missed free throw. Oh, I missed it, but look at this, over the rim. The quickness paying off.
Nick Anderson got the basket that has given Illinois a 5-point lead, but the Illini have 2 players with 4 fouls. Just one of the small interesting facets about this Illinois team. They've only had 3 players foul out all year long. Here's Matt Rowe. And he goes down hard. Immediately helped up by Nick Anderson, who was...
They were measuring him. He doesn't have the breakaway speed, but there's 2 of them trailing him, and he knows he has to try and go up and cram it. And that took him way off the ground, and he just lost his feet. But both the Illinois players were after the ball.
I'm amazed that at the very least, Matt Rowe didn't lose his breath or have the wind knocked out of him. Rowe with 9 points today, all on 3-pointers.
Looks like he just had a little uncomfortable moment after lunch.
Well, the Syracuse free throw problem not evident today. Not really. 15 of 21. And Rowe will shoot 2.
Here's a foul shooter that, you know how you contract measles? This guy used to be a 90% foul shooter, and he's down in the 60s. Maybe it's something in the locker room, like Legionnaire's disease.
It's contagious. Substitution, David Johnson will come in for a limping Matt Rowe, but he gets 1 of 2. 77-73, 4:52 remaining in the ball game. The winner goes up against Michigan. If it is Illinois, they have beaten Michigan twice already this year. If it is Syracuse, they played last year and the year before, and they split the series. So both teams familiar with Michigan. The Illini obviously much more so. Bardo, perfect.
Big hoop, the size. Douglas got picked off. The big guard to very easily get over the top of Douglas.
Sherman Douglas.
This is where Douglas has to take over. In the prior ball game, he started going one-on-one, and it worked.
4:10 to go. You heard the call, switch. Owens with a chance for 3. And that is 5 fouls on Steve Bardo, the best defensive player for Illinois. We're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 4:08 remaining. Vern Lundquist and Tom Heinsohn. Steve Bardo becomes only the 4th Illinois player to foul out of a game all year long. That's in 35 games.
This takes a real preeminence right now because he was doing a creditable job on Douglas or anybody else he was defending. But coming down the stretch, you would think that Bardo would have been the guy that would defend against Douglas. And now they're going to have to come back with Larry Smith, who's much smaller. And Douglas is more familiar with playing smaller guards than bigger guards. So it may give Douglas the opportunity to start to go one-on-one.
And Larry Smith comes back in playing with 4 fouls. Billy Owens goes to the line at 79-75, 4:08.
Man that Jim Boeheim said sacrificed, showed no selfishness whatsoever, was willing to fit into the system, no ego.
Lane violation. They'll shoot another.
They said if Billy Owens had not done what he'd done this year, we wouldn't be where we are today.
So one more chance. And he gets this one. 79-76, 4:06 to go in the ball game. Illinois with 3 timeouts left. Syracuse with 2. The Illini trailed by as many as 12 in the first half. We're down by 7 at halftime. And a timeout is called by Lou Henson. It comes with 3:55 remaining in the game. Doom is a preview of the Final Four Saturday live from the King Dome or King Doom. Take your pick at 5 o'clock Eastern. The show is hosted by Jim Nance, James Brown, and Leslie Visser, and that'll be followed by the Final Four semis
And, of course, the winner of this game gets Michigan. Seton Hall is in. They take on either Georgetown or Duke. And that game follows ours. 3:55 to go.
What are we doing? Having tea with an Englishman or something? King Dew?
King Dew. David Johnson with the foul. And that's his fourth. Matt Rowe on the Syracuse bench after he went into the stanchion under the basket, getting his foot iced down. And now he's going to come back into the ball game.
They're going to try and protect Johnson for his rebounding ability the last couple of minutes of the game. So Rowe is really going to have to play some defense. They have not been able to utilize his good offense from the perimeter because they put a man right in his jersey with him. As the pain.
That was during the timeout. Here's Nick Anderson on the line. No. And the rebound, Thompson. What a big miss. Front end of a 1-and-1, 79-76. 3:40 to go.
Kendall Gill is going to stay on Douglas. Got a 4-inch height advantage and can smother a lot of Douglas's penetration.
See Sherman directing the traffic as they swing the ball to the left side. 19 on the shot clock. 79-76. 3:16 remaining. Billy Owens, spin move. Runs into Hamilton and banks it in.
Boy, it could have been a foul on that one, too. Went right underneath Billy Owens, but that's his versatility. Inside, or with that good dribbling ability, make moves going to the hoop.
5 straight points by Syracuse. That ends the streak. Kenny Battle.
I'll tell you, what a great, smart play that time. Took the trap defense, looked immediately to the weak side, and Syracuse is letting him score some easy ones.
3-point edge for the Illini. 2:40 remaining. Owens, stolen. Anderson dishes. Short. Kendall Gill.
They're all the same size. They all play over the top of the rim.
2:20 to go. Timeout. Syracuse. Watch the stuff on the follow by Kendall Gill.
There's the push by Nick Anderson trying to hit Battle. He tries to get up a shot, but Gill, the guard, put his cram.
Have 1 timeout remaining. Illinois 2. Both teams are in the bonus at the free throw line. The possession arrow Syracuse. 2:18 remaining. And on the court now, Billy Owens with 20 points. Stephen Thompson, Sherman Douglas, Matt Rowe, and Derek Coleman for Syracuse. It's Kendall Gill on Sherman Douglas. He's held him to 12 points today. There's the switch as he goes out on Rowe. Now they switch back. Stephen Thompson, a little outside his range. Shot clock at 20. Rowe rims out. Rebound Anderson. Foul Stephen Thompson.
Now, coming out of the timeout, Jim Boeheim said, we're going for Matt Rowe's 3. And he probably feels that Matt Rowe's as good as anybody. But when you take the outside shot at this juncture in the ball game, no chance of anybody fouling out. And there's some serious foul trouble on the Illinois team.
That's the 4th on Stephen Thompson. Coleman has 3. Johnson has 4. Anderson is 3 of 5 at the line today. That is Mary Henson. The Illinois team has not been to the Final Four since 1952.
You know, I think Lou Henson is a very misunderstood coach. He coaches confusion, but it's organized confusion.
Rowe for 3. Cuts the lead in half. It's 84-81. Trap. Battle gets it. Nick Anderson. Down 2. As he run at Derek Coleman.
Well, he made sure he got his body between Coleman and himself. Coleman should have gone up and challenged him a little bit on that one.
86-81. Sherman Douglas dishes it off with a stuff from Billy Owens.
Well, Douglas is a guy that's really got to get the ball and start to penetrate against this bigger guard and create openings for Coleman and Owens.
Kendall Gill. And the foul is on Douglas. That sends Lowell Hamilton to the line. Coming up next, Duke versus Georgetown. The winner of that game takes on Seton Hall in Seattle. Next Saturday, the winner of this one gets Michigan. And the Illini in conference play this year defeated Michigan twice. They won at Michigan the last week of the regular season. And they also beat Michigan at home. Here's Lowell Hamilton. 2 of 6 at the line today.
You know, they see pressure defenses every day at practice themselves. So Syracuse going out there trying to harass this Illinois team is not going to work as easily as I'm sure Jim Boeheim would wish.
Hamilton for the year in the last 4 minutes is hitting 71%. But he misses them both. And the lead is 3. We're under a minute.
Just playing Syracuse, you get the disease.
Rowe can tie it with a 3-pointer. Douglas back to Rowe. And look at Larry Smith, shadow Rowe. They try to pick. 40 seconds to go. The dish right in the hands of Larry Smith. And a foul in the backcourt.
What a great defensive play by Hamilton, who switched and just took away the corner of the basket. You watch right now as he comes down, and there's Hamilton just cuts him off at the pass and out of bounds. And there is that. The only option he had was to try and get it back into the middle, and boy, did they rotate.
45.
Larry Smith.
But you saw on that play, too, Vern, the fact that the 6-foot ability, the size of Douglas.
They're arguing over who should shoot the free throw. And it's a big, big point. They're arguing. This brings back memories of Iowa, North Carolina earlier in the year. Now, we thought Smith was fouled, and they're trying to send Hamilton to the bench.
Hamilton
to the free throw.
The guy that was really warded off.
Well, he sinks it. Remember early in the season, Iowa, North Carolina, when they snuck in the free throw shooter. Now, we thought it was Larry Smith, but they're sending Hamilton to the free throw line.
No, what really happened, Vern, was that Hamilton shielded Douglas off from the basket, and when he made the pass, he pulled Hamilton on a sort of a deliberate foul right in front of the referee. The correct man, in my opinion, is at the free throw line right now.
Well, they checked twice at the bench. It is a correctable error, and the call was confirmed at the bench. And Hamilton gets 1 of 2. The lead is 4. 30 seconds to go. Douglas for 3. Yes!
Great pick by Coleman to knock off Gill, the defender, to allow him to get the shot off.
It's 87-86.
The foul occurred right in this area here. Watch, the official is standing right there as Hamilton comes over to shield him. Now you watch as Douglas holds Hamilton, and the official looking at it all the way and calling it on Sherm Douglas.
The official is John Moreau, and he did call the foul on Douglas and was pointing in the direction of Hamilton. And then we saw the contact on Larry Smith. And timeout has been called. The time is on Illinois. Illinois, not a bad free throw shooting team, 71% over the season, and Anderson the least successful of them.
Well, obviously, you're going to try and foul because it's only a 1-point game, but you got to try and make a steal too. They've got to inbound it. What's going on right now is that Illinois has been able to move the ball around the horn, and Syracuse has gone and doubled, and not doubled quick enough on a couple of occasions. But it's probably going to be a foul shooting contest down this stretch. If they don't make the steal immediately on the inbounding of the ball, they'll foul.
22 seconds to go, and the big play for Syracuse, Sherman Douglas 3-pointer.
This has been just about what we thought it would be.
Well, when one plays two, what can you say? And it's the question that we had at the beginning of the ball game, would Battle really be able to contribute? He's done that and then some. And also Hamilton with the sprained ankle has been very effective in limited action here. Marcus Liberty, who I think is back in this ball game, is a pretty good defender and a free throw shooter himself. So let's see what happens as they try to make a steal.
Illinois has one timeout left. Both teams in the bonus. The possession arrow still points towards Syracuse. 22 seconds remaining.
And the no timeouts by Syracuse means that they're going to have to do it immediately after the foul, get it inbounded and advance the ball. They already called the play on what they're going to do in the huddle.
Set the lineup for you. Larry Smith, Battle, Gill. Marcus Liberty is back on the court now. Number 30, the sophomore from Chicago. And Liberty gets the inbound pass. And he is fouled by Derek Coleman.
Now they're going to put the first-year player on the line. And a lot of confidence right now by the Illinois players, giving them the 5, saying, you're our man.
Here is one of the most widely publicized recruits of 2 years ago. Had to sit out last year. Academic problems. Marcus Liberty has struggled a bit, but for the season, with the game on the line in the final 4 minutes this year, he is 22 of 27. He's hitting 82% in the last 4 minutes of games. Too strong. Tip. Kendall Gill kicks it out, and Kenny Battle will go to the line. That is 5 fouls on the General Sherman Douglas. And will this be his final game for Syracuse? 15 points. For the first team All-American, leader in career assist, points, and leadership, you might say, for Syracuse.
No question. And coming down the stretch, you absolutely need Sherman Douglas in there. They don't have a comparable part, a specialist, to run this ball club. He's done it so effectively all year. When he was out of the lineup early in the season, Syracuse really had some problems. But getting back to the strategy, again, Illinois has to make these two. And without that great ball handler picking out who's the open man, they've got to get up and really challenge the ball handler, Illinois. As soon as it's inbounded, they make the free throws, Illinois, and the ball is inbounded, they've got to get all over whoever is going to bring the ball up the court.
Anthony Scott, a 6'8", seldom used freshman, number 40, has taken his place. Now Ken Battle, the senior leader. He's 87% of the last 4 minutes of games. That makes Kenny Battle 21 of 24 from the line in the final 4 minutes of games this year. The lead is 3. The time is 14. Thompson, short. Gill. 5 seconds to go. For the first time in 37 years, a team from Champaign, Illinois is going to the Final Four. The last time it happened, Harry Combs was the coach. Johnny Red Kerr was one of the stars. And they lost to St. John's
in the semifinals.
You know, when we listened at the press conference to some of these players of Illinois talk about each other, you can see there was genuine fondness and respect for each other. And they had to have that type of attitude amongst themselves in order to do what they did today against Syracuse, to come from behind. Great effort.
Illinois goes to 31-4, and they remain undefeated with Kendall Gill in the lineup.
They said that they have met adversity all year long. The injury of two of their key players has not really disturbed them. They've handled it beautifully.
We'll be back here in Minneapolis, but right now, with Illinois in the Final Four against Michigan, let's go back to Jim and JB.
All right, thank you, Vern. In this game, everything we had thought it would be going in, James. And as Vern just mentioned, it'll be now a Big Ten semifinal in one game. Michigan against Illinois. The Illini won both games this year when the two met, winning by 12 at home and then winning at Michigan to close out the regular season by 16. So the Illini 2-0 this year against Michigan.
Just a superb game indeed. Couldn't ask for a better final. Chevy MVPs for Syracuse, the talented freshman Billy Owens. Boy, he's going to be some kind of player indeed. 22 points, one whale of an NCAA tournament for him. And for Illinois, the junior forward Nick Anderson with 28 points. The Illini move on to the Final Four.
All right, James, so one game is now set. It'll be Michigan against Illinois in Seattle. The other game will be Seton Hall against the winner of the Georgetown-Duke game, the East Regional Final, which is coming up in just a few minutes here on CBS. We're going to take a break and come back with some post-game interviews from Minneapolis as we continue on the road to the Final Four.
Jim, a remarkably composed Lou Henson. You've been there before in 1970, but these young men of yours just played superbly to get back to the Final Four, Lou.
Vern, they really did. I thought they played outstanding ball. We gave up a lot of easy shots early, but we played so hard. They wanted it badly, and I think that's how we won it.
What does it mean to the program at Illinois to get into the Final Four for the first time in 37 years?
Vern, I think it means a lot because it's been a long, long time since Illinois has been there. We've had some outstanding teams, but not a team to get the Final Four since in the early 50s. So it means a lot to all of us.
We're going to chat with a couple of the players, but I must ask you this. You go up against a Michigan team you've defeated twice already this year, but certainly they're playing with different emotional circumstances with Steve Fisher in as the coach.
Vern, right now they're awesome. I've watched them in the playoffs. There's not a team in the NCAA playing as well as they're playing right now.
Well, we have accomplished the ceremony. We got the net down, and we've got one of the stars of this team, and he played so valiantly today. Kenny battled with Tommy Heinsohn.
Well, Kenny, what an outstanding game you had. I know it was all inspiration the other night, Friday night, against Louisville on a bum knee, but it looked like it wasn't giving you any problem. And if it was, it sure didn't appear to be giving you any problem.
Well, the Louisville game was a trial test for me to see if I could, move on it, see how much flexibility I had. I was able to move and loosen it up a lot. And today, it was just loose as could be, and I just had to come out and play.
Well, they point to you as the inspirational player of this team. Today, what did it mean to you?
It meant a lot to me because, I was hurt and wasn't able to, do much the other game, but everybody came in and chipped in. Me being a senior, I came out today and showed the leadership that I'm supposed to show, and everybody just followed behind, and we just pulled as a team, and we did it.
Well, we've got a happy bunch. Nick Anderson, Lowell Hamilton, the captain who played today. We've got Kendall Gill back here, and a bunch of happy players. Let's go back to our New York studios, Jim and JB.
All right, Vern, thank you. And what a difference in rebounding in this game. 41-24 edge for the Illini, including a 19-6 rebounding advantage in the second half, James.
And Lou Henson said his team was too short to compete effectively, but I thought one of the best moves that Lou Henson made down the stretch was a non-move. He did not slow his horses up. He let them continue to play with the flow, and I think that paid big dividends.
James, of course, the East Regional Finals coming up, Georgetown and Duke, and we'll continue here on CBS after this word from your local station. Getting set for the final spot for Seattle.